Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the IS-2. Now, initial things on the IS-2 that you should need to know whether you're in it or playing against it are its gun is pretty good penetration for its BR, being at a 5.7. It has about 200mm to 207mm depending on the shell that the person's firing. Whether they have the upgraded one or not doesn't make much of a difference. And it has a unbelievably long reload. Anything shooting at you will get about 3 shots into you before you can reload once. And that's if you have your gunner. The armor on this thing is, well, it depends on who's shooting at you. If you angle your armor properly and all that stuff, you'll bounce quite a bit of shots. However, angling your armor does actually flatten out the nose on this thing, as it's not a pike nose like on the IS-3 and T10M, but the corners are rounded, and it flattens them if you angle your armor. So anyone that knows what they're doing and shoots there will still kill you in, well, usually one shot. And just a bit of an oddity on this tank, the fuel tanks are actually in the front of the tank, not the back. So I have seen people drive this thing backwards around the battlefield, because it's Russian, so it doesn't have a gun depression. And it increases your survivability a little bit, not really though. Because if you just bounce the shots in the first place, then you might have that issue. So, my dumbass drives side on in front of that M18. He shoots me in the engine, so luckily it's not a problem. And that M18 actually won't end up being a problem anymore. Someone else takes him out. However, that T25 is fairly lucky that for whatever reason I overpenned and went right through his side as well, and didn't actually kill anything other than the machine gunner. So, now I'm in a pretty bad position, because I have to reload. Or I have to repair, sorry, and I'm in the middle of the street. However, it is not a terrible position to be in, because my armor is decently angled towards anyone coming down the street. So I repair, Pershing bounces off of me, and I put one right through the Pershing. And at this point, I'm rather concerned about that Hellcat again, and that's when the Sherman comes around the corner. It's the 76, and he puts 2 shots into me, and then I'm about to get reloaded. I'm fairly confident if it gets a return shot, it'll bounce, which it does. And then I put it right through the upper front plate of the Jumbo, because he wasn't angled properly, so I can, yeah. So, now, once again, I'm on the reload, so you never want to find yourself in a situation where you can be rushed by a tank while you're reloading. So, I'm preparing to bounce the shot from the 76, and a shot comes from somewhere else. Don't really know where. The 76 thinks he's safe, and I tell him otherwise with my 122 that just kills everything it touches. Now, there's another T25, actually maybe even the same T25 I believe, that has successfully flanked me, and I have no turret ring, and it's going to take forever to reload this thing with no gunner. But fortunately, a teammate comes to the rescue and saves my dumb ass. So, now I go and repair. However, my reload time has gone from bad to just awful. My loader has died, so it's over a minute reload every time I fire. So right now I really need to make every shot count. So there's a Walker Bulldog in front of me, and he never really pays any attention to me and just allows me to reload and put one right through him once it eventually happens, because I mean, it's really slow reload. But I take another shot from something else that also bounces. So, and the thing that just bounced off me in the first place was a Hellcat up on the hill. And then I still don't know what shot me from the left. I'm being shot at by so many things at this point, it's hard to keep track of where and what is shooting me. I'm just trying to put cover between myself and one other tank. So I'm only leaving one tank shooting at me, so that I can angle my armor effectively against that tank. Now, the IS-2 is pretty mobile for a heavy tank. I kind of play it like an armored medium, but it can definitely get away with taking some punishment. So, now I do see the back of that Hellcat while I'm reloaded, but I would rather wait to make the shot count than rush it and die. So, 76 comes around the corner and puts a shot into me, and I put a shot into him, and then I take 2 shots, one from a Hellcat and one from a still unknown tank. So, I'm still in a pretty bad position, but I do have lots of cover. I am trying to use the best of my ability. Now, unfortunately, these Osprins weren't killing the Hellcat, which would have been nice. But what do you expect? They're AA guns. So now my plan is to kind of push towards the A cap and try and get another crew member in my tank so that my reload rate gets cut in half. So I'm still just trying to be as cautious as I can because I can no longer afford to trade crew members for kills. Now that guy actually died. I don't understand, because I got the hit message on the side of my screen where it says everything I knocked out, and it said I left someone 3 crew, but I didn't get an assist. So my only thought is that we both had shells inside him at the same time. Now, Ostman kills the Hellcat, which is good, because that Hellcat would have killed me. And now I want to get on the capture point, sit there, cap it out, and get my extra crew member to bring my reload rate back down. Because this thing's reload rate is horrendous, even with the loader inside the tank. Now, my crew on this thing is about level 100 and is experted, so if you don't have all that, your reload rate is, well, pretty much what mine is with no gunner. So, if you don't have a good crew, it will heavily affect this tank, because the crew has a huge effect. The longer the reload, the more your crew affects the reload, because it's percentage based. So I just want to sit on the capture point. I know, whatever, but I need to get that extra crew member in my tank so that I can afford to do more damage to the enemy team. However, my lack of paying attention and tunnel vision once again gets me as I'm driving down the street and I'm like, oh, well, there's nothing on the other side of the river. Look the wrong way and get shot inside by a Walker Bulldog. Now I'm trying to pull my turret around while I'm on fire before putting the fire out. And he puts a second shot into me that takes out my turret traverse and my gunner. So at that point I was pretty much toast. And now we're going to move on to the next game. So yeah, that wasn't the smartest thing to do, but oh well. Now that we're in the next game, this is not a map where the IS-2 excels particularly well. It's very hilly, and with this thing's lack of gun depression, you really need to get up close and personal with the enemy, because you just don't have the gun depression to mess around with playing over ridgelines and stuff like that, because you can't. So my plan is to kind of stick to this road, as it'll be fairly flat, so I don't have too many issues with gun depression. And it puts a few AI in front of me for anyone that kills AI, because there's a lot of people that do it for some reason. So I was hoping to maybe find a player or two doing that. That was kind of my train of thought going through this game, as trying to play the IS-2 on a really bumpy map where it just won't normally do well. So, kind of trying to put its mobility to use, and as I said in the last replay, especially in this game, I'm gonna kind of have to play it like a T-44 almost, but slightly less mobile, because this map is like, there's just no room, there's nowhere I can sit and hide and be like poke around a corner flat. So I kind of have to go right down the middle. I mean, I don't really have to, but I wanted to, because I'm trying just to prove like, hey look, hilly map, it can do it. However, I mean, yeah. So I spot a panther, and it actually took me a second to realize that, hang on, that panther's not an AI. And this thing's rocking of the suspension gets me there. I don't have any of the suspension upgrades or anything like that, so shouldn't make that big of a difference, however. But the panther moves up, so I'm going to move across the bridge and use this opportunity to maybe get some side shots. Just because 122 to the side usually doesn't end well for the enemy. This one I spotted T-25, and that one just goes right into the top of his tank, and I have no idea why the AMI is spazzing there, and knocks out every single one of his crew member and most of his modules. So now I'm going to continue to push down this road, and slightly off to its left, because driving right down an open road isn't the greatest idea when you're in line of sight of potential enemies. So I'm driving around, I see the T-34 over there is looking at something over here, and it was a panther that had already been knocked out. So it's going to continue pushing. Basically, I wanted to drive right through the enemy defenses and come in behind them. was really what my plan was. And up there is actually a Panzer IIIL. I had no idea what it was. I just saw smoke. And decided to start looking for it because I really couldn't tell where or what it was. So, I see some shots getting exchanged over here. And I want to get to a position where I can fire on it without having my lack of gun depression be an issue. Which means I'm going to have to expose myself to enemy fire. Then I say a tree fell over and realize there's a Hellcat over there. Now I stopped where I think I would normally be able to do it, but the reason my gun dipped far enough down was because of the suspension. And that's when I notice the Sherman that is in my sight that I'm kind of oblivious to right now. And I will notice sooner or later and take out of his misery. So now I'm kind of going after hunting after the Hellcat. However, it's a Hellcat and I'm an IS-2. There's only a slight speed difference there. So now I'm kind of starting to chase down the Hellcat, and I do eventually find it after I find an M19, but the Hellcat's already dead. So the Hellcat is taken out, and then I'm going to take out this M19 once I eventually get the gun depression to do it. And now I do go on to get 2 more kills this game, but it's just a lot of driving around from now in those 2 kills. So I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts on the IS-2. The armor is acceptable. You can use it as a heavy tank, no problem, whatever. Its mobility for a heavy tank is pretty good. Its gun is very good, so long as you make sure that your one shot counts. You have to play like you only have 1 shell left. And I would definitely recommend this tank if you're going down the Russian tree trying to get higher tier tanks. So I will see you guys next time.